All right. We live, baby. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll let everybody start filing in. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the Avalanche community members out there. We got a very, very exciting show for you folks today. I'm going to go over a little bit about what we'll be talking about right now. So, my friends over at GoGoPool are launching COQNet on Avalanche, of course, transforming what used to be just a meme into a utility-driven ecosystem. Today, we'll explore more about COQNet, the impact for AVAX and COQ communities, and what to expect from GGP 9000. We'll also dive into COQNet's first major application, which is called Dream, and then we'll talk a little bit about the critical role the Etna upgrade made in making this all possible, my friends. I'm seeing a lot of folks over here comment in the chat. What's up, Shizzo? You have a good day as well, my friend. Hakan, what's up? Hello, hello. I see you folks, man. I see everybody over there. And just for everyone out there, if you would like to participate, if you got questions, we got answers, my friends. I will do my best to get your question answered. If you click on this live stream, there should be a chat box that opens up to your right. Go ahead and do your comments and statements in that chat box, and I'll do my best to make sure that your questions get answered and that those comments get shown to the peoples of the world. I'm also going to go ahead and announce my speakers here that I have with me. For one thing, I'm your host. My name is Breevy. I'm also here joined by some absolute stars. We have Aaron here, head of business development at GoGoPool. Say what's up, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Great to be here.
Hey, man, it's great to have you. I'm also joined by Bud White as well, head of product over at GoGoPool. Say what's up, my friend.
Hey, Breevy. Thanks for having us.
Hey, man. Thank you for building what you've built, my friends.
Well, hey, quick correction. You're giving us way too much credit.
Okay. What's up?
We did not build COQNet.
Ooh, okay.
The COQNet team built COQNet. We are building the validation system to allow stakers stake on COQNet. So appreciate it. We did push the ball forward, but yeah, we're not we can't take credit for that, unfortunately.
Okay. Hey, no worries, man. I appreciate you for setting the record straight, my friend. Let's dive into this thing, my friend. Like I really want to. I don't want to tease these cock holders for too long. Let's talk a little bit about what this is. So, what is COQNet, and how are we turning this just meme token that we were just sharing memes and talking about funny things with? How are we giving this thing utility?
So, I think there's two ways for me to answer this, and I know that our community is split between Avalanche maxis and COQ token holders. So I'll address both parties separately. So I guess the more technical, less sexy answer is COQNet is the first proof of stake blockchain post Etna upgrade, right? So we're using all the new tech that came from Ava Labs, all of the L1 only validators, a lot of the customizations, and then using proof of stake contracts to be able to bring individual community members, right, token holders to come in, set up nodes, stake on those nodes to create validators, and have an actual, multi-hundred into the thousands of validators on an Avalanche L1. So what is COQNet? COQNet's the first proof of stake blockchain in the Avalanche ecosystem, which is incredible. So that's the technical answer. But what is it from? Like, why would you care about it, want to use it, or maybe stake on it? Well, it's the first opportunity to play the role of validator in a Avalanche L1 or a subnet, right? So if you're a COQ holder, you can stake your COQ and earn yield on it, right? Which was always the promise of proof of stake blockchains. But we know that every proof of authority and now proof of stake blockchain in Avalanche is purpose built. So COQNet is no different. COQNet has some integrations that other blockchains don't have out of the box, namely around a randomness function. And it is perfect for the Dreams app, which we'll be speaking about later, to tie in and actually use this uniqueness in the blockchain to have a slot style video game.
Question for you real quick. What is the randomness function and why is it important to this whole kind of thing?
I'm not the expert on this. I'll let the Daniel, when he joins, talk about this a little bit more.
Sure.
As a crypto nerd, we all know that randomness is hard on chain because of the predictability and the mempool and being able to see actions come right before. So I don't know. They have I don't know the technical details, but
Yeah.
they've implemented a more robust randomness function that you can't game, essentially.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, because I have a question here from Richard 9000. Richard says, "Hi AVAX fam, what will be the requirements to becoming a COQNet validator?"
Yeah. I guess I could take that one. We haven't really announced the full spec sheet of what you need, but essentially, any proof of stake blockchain is generating rewards either through the treasury or through actions on chain. COQNet over the next 30 days is think of it like a technical trial for the Etna upgrade, where we're stressing right the ecosystem and all the validator software to be able to scale up to 1,000. So that being said, the rewards pool is coming from the Ava Foundation in terms of a grant, right? So this is a 30-day experiment where we're going to pay each user for staking to be able to get to this, maximum stress test of validators on the ecosystem. That being said, there's a few things that you need to kind of check the box to be able to validate. One, you need to be a COQ holder. It's something in the $20 range of COQ per validator. Number two is you have to be an active Avalanche participant. So there's a tool out there that measures the activity of Avalanche wallets. It's by a company called Frosty Metrics. And if you jam in your wallet address, it'll basically tell you, how much participation has this person had in the ecosystem. So we're prioritizing higher participation wallets to be able to stake. And then availability. The GoGoPool team and our network of validators have pre-set up a number of individual physical nodes as part of this campaign. And we're going to drop batches, I believe, starting early next week. And it's a first come, first serve. If you meet those two requirements in your wallet, first come, first serve to get paired to a validator. And I believe we're allowing maximum 3 validators per wallet. So we'll have all the documentation set out when we open up the floodgates for the first batch. But yeah, just to set the expectation, it's we're prioritizing COQ holders and Avalanche community members that have been active to give them the little basically free money, right? I mean, the 9,000% is coming out of a grant. So
I love that you're kind of focusing on community members who are actually being active, right? Especially with the Frosty metrics, the chill factor, I believe it's called. Like utilizing that in order to ensure that everyone who is, benefiting from this is able to stake is actually an active community member. And I think that's an absolutely beautiful thing. We got Daniel Killeen here now as well. What's up, my friend? Cowboy over at Rowship.
How we doing? Happy Cock Day, big and small.
Happy to have you on, my friend. So now it's actually great to have you on now because we were talking a little bit about the randomness function that was built specifically for Dream. Can you tell us a bit about why that's unique? Actually, can you give us an overview about what Dream is and kind of go into that?
Yeah, I also was hoping towards the end I can give a live demo, but just typically speaking, it's a random slot machine where users can deposit COQ without needing to sign for a transaction and earn rewards. Simple lottery slot style kind of machine. The oracle that we're using at hand here is just on display for just COQNet, and it's driving randomness at a level that it is driving a level that's just only for this chain. I'm not allowed to disclose any information on it, unfortunately, at this time.
Yeah, no problem at all, my friend. Thank you for giving that overview. And so this is the first application that's going to be released on COQNet, building on COQNet. I think that's actually pretty exciting that we're going to have this this L1 where originally it was just a meme, and then now applications are actually going to be able to be built on top of this meme. Specifically, actually, can I talk to the GoGoPool team about what kind of inspired you to go this route, start building COQNet or start inspiring others to build COQNet?
Again, it was Daniel and his team who built COQNet, but I mean, we launched L1 Marketplace at the Avalanche Summit in October, right? So we've been preparing for the Etna upgrade and all of these purpose-built L1s and L1 only validators. So you know, we already had the ball in motion to build this ecosystem because COQNet's the first, but like I said on the podcast about a week and a half ago, there's over 100 L1s in the pipeline that Aaron and the Eva Labs team have put together that want to launch proof of stake L1s behind this. So I mean, the COQ community is great. It's a great first test of the technology, and it's really further rewarding the active community members because going through the process of going to L1 Marketplace, connecting your wallet, staking your COQ, and then kind of using that interface of matching your stake with a physical node, right, to create a validator. The cohort that goes through and stakes for COQNet is going to be the first that do any sort of staking on Avalanche L1s. And we know that a couple months ago, Beam did their node sale. They're getting ready to do staking, right? And it's all going to take place within this same tool. So we built this because there's a huge movement, right? This is L1 season opening up, right? I think the announcement went out about an hour ago that COQNet's live on mainnet. You can hit it with your blockchain explorer and actually look at it, and that's the first, right? And there's going to be a ton of these blockchains launching, doing node sales, doing staking campaigns, and incentivizing the community to participate. So yeah, it's the beginning of a movement, and we want to participate in COQNet because it's the first.
And this is absolutely huge, my friend. Actually, we have a question from the community too, from Anthony Garcia. Will the validator rewards will they be denominated in AVAX or COQ or both?
Yeah, so COQ is what we're intending to pay out. Unless tell me otherwise. I mean, it's easier to pay out in AVAX because it's a stabler asset for us. But yeah, the intent is, there's a simple interest calculation, right? You put in this much COQ, this rate, this term, and then you're going to get COQ as reward. So yeah, that's the plan right now.
Okay, awesome. So I want to do a little bit of a pivot right now because you have this thing called GGP 9000 that's about to happen. It's also crazy that COQNet's live as well. I also want to spotlight that COQNet's live, everybody. That's fire. But I also want to talk a little bit about GGP 9000. Can you give us an overview of what you folks have built over there?
Yeah, for sure. So for listeners who aren't too familiar with the GoGoPool products, our first product was a liquid staking and validator manager protocol on C-Chain. So we run about 350 validators today and have about 60 million in AVAX locked up staking. GoGoPool 9000 is the evolution of that protocol, right? So we're taking this protocol that runs validators on C-Chain, and we're now expanding that to run L1 only validators on COQNet, on Beam, on every other blockchain that's going to launch. So for those out there who are running mini pools and familiar with taking our token GGP and staking it as a bond to get a validator up and running, it'll be a similar process where if you want to come in, and I know we have a ton of these validator groups that each individual wants to run 20 or 30 validators in their own home server farm or through some sort of cloud service. They'll set up a few dozen of these things. They'll pay the GGP bond, right, to be able to have them accessible to the market, and then we'll match them with all of the, in COQNet's case, the COQ holders, right? people who are coming in who want to stake COQ, they don't have to worry about the whole hardware side. And we make sure that these validators are in good standing through the GGP bonds, right? We require that their uptime is above the threshold for validation on that blockchain. With C-Chain and COQNet, it's 80%. So if they drop below that, then yeah, we penalize them.
Can you talk a little bit about the landscape of like this actually happening prior to GoGoPool 9000? Like, what was it like for someone to, let's say, hook up with a L1, stake something, validate? What was that like prior to?
Yeah. Well, right now there are prior to today there are 0 proof of stake Avalanche L1s. So there was nothing before this, right? But yeah, that's tongue in cheek. I mean, the answer to your question is, if you are a independent validator and you've been running C-Chain validators and life is good, it's a lot of work, right? As these L1s are going to launch, the first 10 are going to turn into 100, and how are you going to manage the marketplace between having validators available and getting matched to stake? So there is the natural route with any of these blockchains. You can set up your own machine, run the Avalanche Go, run the binary, and set it up and do your own stake. But it's a lot of setup. And for people out there who are technical and want to do that, it's always, you can always do that. But what we're trying to do with GoGoPool 9000 is make it one button, right? So if you are a asset holder, one button, you should be able to stake and earn that yield on your asset. And then on the other side, if you're a hardware operator and all you care about is getting your $40 a month fee per validator, we want to make it as dead simple for you to set those up, point them at a network, and get people using your service.
Yeah.
So we really just simplified the ecosystem rather than having to do both sides yourself or try to find that connection between asset holder and node operator.
I think that's super important too, right? Because, prior to, I can imagine that it could be probably pretty frustrating for an L1 that was looking to build in order to get their validator set that they need, the active validator set, because, you don't have this kind of intermediary marketplace where you can kind of go in, it's a nice UI, and you can kind of see who is available and who is actually looking for validation. It's like, or who's a validator and that's like actually verified. You had to actually search on Twitter, I'm going to assume, like Avalanche validator, and then hope that you can find a few profiles that said, hey, I'm an Avalanche validator, and then set up a BD meeting at that point. And then there's just a lot of time and a lot of effort that probably went into it before all of this kind of came into light. And very appreciative of the team for building something like this, because it's like super innovative, and it makes it so that that kind of friction point between those two, that can kind of go away. And actually, can you talk a little bit about the L1 launcher? Actually, like
I can. And to your point, shout out to Jared on my team, who did the business development work to actually meet, educate, and bring on over 20 different individual hardware node operators who will be providing all the nodes for COQNet. And yeah, I mean, essentially, we're just trying to any process that would have to be done for every staker or every L1, we're trying to do it all once and set it up, right? So with GoGoPool 9000, we now have access to 20 going into 30 different validator groups that know the agreement and know how to interface with this, rather than having to do that BD over and over and over and over. But yeah, so on the L1 launcher side, we offer the ability to launch L1s. Right now, COQNet is the first one that is going proof of stake. I believe Beam and Fairway and maybe a few others are on the calendar to do kind of these really big blockchain launches in probably before the end of the quarter. But the L1 launcher is intended for the masses that want to launch their own blockchains, right? How do you try to take a real business idea and try to use a blockchain as the system of record for whatever you want to do, right? Whatever community you're building, whatever application you're building, have that decentralized database, right, as the backbone of your application. And then two, how do you rally your community to do a fundraising event and then get them to participate in the validation of the ecosystem? So L1 Launcher, we did a beta launch back in October at Summit, where we were launching testnet blockchains in under 5 seconds. So if you came to our booth at Summit, I think we launched 1,000 blockchains on testnet over that week. I feel bad for the Ava Labs team because I think what did we do? I think we doubled the number of testnets over that week and really clogged up the blockchain. But we're going to be relaunching that on mainnet so that individuals can very quickly launch their blockchain, be able to get that asset out for purchase, whether it's a node license or it's a native token, be able to find buyers, net supporters that you're bringing from your own communities and from the Avalanche community and from the GoGoPool community that we're building to be able to fundraise for whatever project that you're building that needs this blockchain. So yeah, I mean, it's not something that we have readily available today on mainnet, but it's coming very quick.
Dude, that's absolutely huge, my friend. I'm loving how the focus is on making it easier for people to build blockchains, because when you think about the landscape, prior to all of this, or prior to your, inspiration to do all of this, it's extremely hard, man. This is months and months, maybe even years worth of development that is now being brought down to, what'd you say, 5 seconds? 5 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever it is, a very minuscule amount of time. And
well, it flips the fundraising landscape upside down, right? Yeah. So how did you launch an L1 a year ago or 2 years ago? You had to have an idea for some unique property that you wanted to have or feature that you wanted to have on the blockchain, go to traditional venture capital, raise tens or even to the hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to fund the engineering, deployment, and ecosystem building for that blockchain, and then bring it to market. I'm thinking of like Berachain, for example, who I believe built on the Cosmos stack. I mean, they spent 18 or 24 months building that, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to build it, to get it to market. And I think they just went to mainnet last week. With this Avalanche tech and the GoGoPool bootstrapping of validators, we flipped it. So we can now launch you that blockchain in 10 seconds, right? And instead of having to do the fundraising up front to buy the technical expertise to be able to launch it, you can now use the blockchain as a tool to do your fundraising, right? So like all of these kind of meme coin generators or AI agent generators, there's this idea of create the thing, build the community that has a specific utility and get it out there and let the community crowdfund it along the way. We're kind of now into the crowdfunding era of L1s, right? Come to GoGoPool, use L1 Launcher, get it out there, create your community however you want, have people speculate, purchase assets, start staking, run a real blockchain. Those assets that you're selling have utility, and bootstrap your project. So gone are the days that you need to have VC money to get a blockchain up and running. You can do it with $1,000 in your pocket and a dream and a community, and you can market and grow.
I think that's like absolutely great. Can we actually? So I know you folks, when you were developing this, you had to wait a little bit for the Etna upgrade. Can you talk a little bit about the impact the Etna upgrade had on, let's say, COQNet overall, like L1 landscape?
Yeah, I mean, so like the biggest thing are L1 only validators, right? No longer, like if you look into the like analytics tools that Ava Labs has for the existing Avalanche L1s, I mean, they're all proof of authority running proof of authority validator managers. And those validators are all staking 2,000 AVAX to the C-chain mainnet. And with Etna, that stake is gone, right? You're only paying, I think it's 1 1/3 AVAX per month as a pay-as-you-go fee to run validators rather than the 2,000 upfront. What's 2,000 Avalanche is worth what, $25 today? It's $50,000 per validator, and you need at least 5 validators for consensus, right? So you're looking at a lot of money, right? So the cost has come down just in the validation, right? With the Etna upgrade. And then the other part of it is with Etna, we're getting the proof of stake smart contracts out of the box rather than just the proof of authority, which is interesting. It's not a switch you can flick, right? Like COQNet upgraded from proof of authority to proof of stake. I believe it was yesterday, right?
Okay.
Just before we did the announcement. But I think it's important, instead of thinking it as a binary, that it's actually a progression. We have a staging system on L1marketplace.com that talks about how mature a blockchain is. Stage 0, meaning it's registered, but it doesn't do anything. Stage 1 being a proof of authority. Stage 2 being an extended proof of authority, which is where COQNet is today, where there are some proof of authority validators, but then there are also proof of stake. Once you build up a big enough community that is staking enough financial security, right, into the blockchain, you can then reduce the weight of the proof of authority validators and have an actual democratic voting system and let the proof of stake validators have sufficient stake weight. So, I mean, this just doesn't happen overnight. And there are a lot of early examples of proof of stake blockchains who have failed from financial attacks, right? Where somebody comes in and buys up 1/3 of the market and takes over consensus. So, there's the fun application side of what we're doing. There's the tech side of what we're doing. But we've also been focusing a lot on the economic side of how to launch these blockchains and have these persistent ecosystems built. We're talking to video game companies and hardware networking companies that want this to be an actual democratic ecosystem that is resistant to attack. And yeah, I mean, Etna gave us the first tools to move from blockchains from stage 1 to stage 2. And yeah, it's exciting. We're really just at the beginning of what we can do with, small or large scale purpose-built blockchains run by communities.
Dude, thank you so much for kind of giving that overview of kind of how Etna impacted the kind of L1 landscape and how it changed things. Because from what you said, man, we go from 250K possibly, all the way down to like, what's that, like 6 AVAX a month or something like that. And for me personally, like what I think about like a future, what that kind of means is now we can kind of envision a future to where, even me as like a college student, I can kind of have an idea. I can come to the GoGoPool L1 launcher, immediately launch a blockchain for it, and get going on like actually starting to build very, very quickly, as opposed to have an idea, figure out how I can raise money for that idea, then raise the money, and then after that, now I'm building the technology. So I think it's great that you actually said that earlier. You're kind of flipping things on its head. Before it was get the funding first, build the tech later. Now it's going to just flip into build the tech first, get the funding later. And I'm very, very curious to see what the landscape of Avalanche is going to look like, let's say like a year from now that there's going to be this acceleration of all these L1s launching, because it's going to be a lot easier for them too. And I'm sure you folks are building for the future to make it even easier as time goes on as well.
Yeah, and that's the idea.
Brevi, if you don't mind me joining in as like, somebody who's used to sell L1s, it makes it go from purely enterprise to actually consumer, right? Like to the end user, right? Like, because when you speak to a BNY or a JP Morgan, sure, they can cover that cost. But effectively, the community that wakes up and breathes this stuff every single day is not going to be able to afford this unless there's some golden bull run where everybody's happy and has all the money in the world. It's actually now sensical economics for people to launch their own tokens and their own chains and their own networks. I think with COQ, and I mentioned this a while ago on the Twitter Spaces we did, is it also empowers community members to then launch their own businesses. Now, this is just in the vein of COQ, but let's say the example I use was like Savannah Bananas. Effectively, you could go and make your own commoditized brand, whereas COQ is like Major League Baseball. You can go and make an offshoot brand using that entity and that liquidity and still have your own success. You don't need to be dependent on the entire market. What drew me to Avalanche in the beginning is something like an internet reserve currency, right? But now it's actually practical because you can have the ability to go online, upload effectively with any token of your choice for the price of what would be like a Cloudflare service. I think that's kind of where the future of Avalanche goes in some capacity, is some sort of Cloudflare-like service where it's a back-end token. What people thought Filecoin could have been, or what Chainlink is intended to use for. Something that's abstracted, and these coins and derivatives of coins allow for businesses to grow on their own stack and then allow for spin-out businesses or any use case. I think the interesting use case for COQ here is it's community-owned. So it's really up to the community to take this as far as they want. And if anybody's on this call, happy to have a discussion about this, but really love to ideate more and discuss about ways that you can take a meme into larger action. It doesn't necessarily need to be the next pumped up fund, but if it's an attention economy, I'm very much eager to hear about what any discussion could be had, because I think a lot of people take the surface level of, I've got my bag, I'm a holder, and the empowerment through what GoGoPool has built can now be flipped kind of in a way that now I'm actually participating, running my own chain, running my own server stack, and I don't need to be dependent on anybody. Sovereign currency is something that this actually shows off, even if it's on a platform that originally started off as a joke. But you could say Dogecoin, or people say Bitcoin was the original meme coin. Kind of in that same vein is where it started. So really excited for what Bud was just putting out there.
One of the things that is just absolutely huge for me and makes this completely unique to Avalanche specifically is the type of community that Avalanche has. Avalanche is a builder community, very, very specifically. They watch builders, they are builders themselves, and they ideate with builders. And so when you start a meme on this chain, it's interesting to see how it evolves when you start a meme on a chain that's a builder chain now it evolves into not just a meme, but now it's like it's actually a ecosystem with utility that this entire community can actually build on top of now. And with applications like the Dream kind of like paving the way, as well as obviously Rowship, GoGoPool team for bringing this to light. Now we can kind of give this to the community and then see what different innovative applications that they build themselves. And I'm very, very curious to see, like, over the next 6 months, year, whatever it is, however long it takes, I'm curious to see how a community like the COQ community that comes from the community like the Avalanche community, the builder community, what kind of things get built because they now have this infrastructure that's possible. But yeah, we've gone on, we've rambled for quite some time, my friends. I'm gonna open this thing up for closing remarks from our lovely panel of speakers out here. Dan, you haven't been talking too much, my friend, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick on you first. Can you give us some closing remarks, anything you'd like to show to the folks out there?
You said me?
Yes.
Oh, I thought I talked to you just now. Yeah, listen, I'm excited for what this does. I think, Solana is pushing forward the internet capital markets perspective. And the vein of that is kind of here, right? Like it's, there's some aspects of it that I think are in the now, but what we're building towards is generally a large network state. Something that many can't really wrap their hands around, but I really can't stress this enough, is you now have the tools to deliver on anything you want. If you think it, you can build it. There's great companies like Pact out there that even simplify that stack even to, on the product UI, UX side. So take advantage of that. If you're a COQ community user, welcome aboard, and please build on it. Like, I'm not going to be sitting on my hands and feet waiting for you. I'll obviously reach out, but it's your sandbox. Do what you want with it. I know on the Rowship side, we ideate on some funny, silly concepts, and I mentioned some of them on the spaces. But again, if you have anything, I'm pretty sure I'm easy to get a hold of on my X or my Telegram. Outside the Rowship side, there's also C5, which we built, C5.app. Stake your AVAX, get 15%. That's the only show I'm going to throw on there for this podcast, but pleasure being on.
Pleasure having you, my friend. I should really pick on Aaron. Aaron, you've been chilling over there.
Yeah, no, it's been great. My voice is well rested and everything, bud. You crushed it though. Yeah. So let's see. What do I have to show? Mainly, like, we're looking for more builders constantly. I have a huge queue already lined up for Q1 and Q2. But if you want to build on COQNet, if you want to launch your own L1, if you want to become a validator, reach out, talk to me. You can find me on X, just 0xNevin, Nevin. I want to talk to all the builders out there. I don't care how big the idea is or how small it is. We want to flood the market with as many awesome projects as possible. So please reach out. I will always make time to chat with the community.
Appreciate you so much, Aaron, for popping on as well. And last but certainly not least, my friend Bud, take us away. You got any closing remarks for the people?
Yeah, I'll leave this the same way I left the podcast last week, which was I'm very excited to launch the first proof of stake blockchain. I come from private bank blockchains, and most of those failed because they didn't have decentralization of validation and interoperability. And Avalanche gave us both. They gave us both of those tools. And now, no matter how big or small you are, whether you're an institution or an individual, right, you have the tools to go out and build decentralized businesses, right? This is like an entrepreneur's dream. This is the first, and there are many to come. So I don't know. I guess the closing remark is remember this day. Go to l1marketplace.com. We're going to drop the first batch of available nodes for you to connect and stake on next week. Start playing with it. Every drop in the Avalanche ecosystem is going to go through L1 Marketplace. So bookmark it on your browser. The notifications will come through there, and the staking tools are going to come from there. So when Aaron says he's got 100+ in the ecosystem, this is your one place to go to see it all. And playing around with COQNet is going to give you the advantage of understanding how this new tool works, and how to optimize it for what you want to do with your portfolio and your bag. So,
dude, thank all of you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate you for talking about COQNet and GGP 9000 as well. For everyone out there, if you kind of came to the stream a little bit late, please make sure you go ahead and rewatch this thing over. You don't want to miss any information our panel of speakers just said. Also, make sure you follow at AVAX and at GoGoPool with the underscore at the end. I got it scrolling down at the bottom too, just for you folks out there who need it. And yeah, really appreciate my audience out there. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you folks for joining us on the stream today. We actually got an announcement that's coming out tomorrow as well for another stream. So you guys can be excited about that because I'm super excited about it too. All right. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for coming on today. I'm going to end this thing in my usual way, and that is you don't have to go home, but you got to get up on out of here, y'all. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.
Power to the people.